dramatic, don't you think? I was thinking next time about a helicopter drive. Yeah. Well, and I feel like I missed almost all the fun, but I got to hear the last part of that beautiful anthem. Thank you so much for playing. Wow. So, I have had a great workout. It took me about 55 minutes to dig out the driveway that has a certain little texture to it, or geography to it, where the snow blows up. So it's about 4.5 feet for me to go get the car out. I think we got about 8 inches out there. I don't know what you all thought. Maybe something like that. So thank you for all of the willingness to be flexible, and it looks like we kind of kept it right on schedule. So
Steve Johnson changed the handle.
I'll speak to him about that. Oh, you all are so much fun. Okay. So our scripture this morning is one of the historic Advent songs from the 122nd Psalm. It is a song of ascent, A-S-C-E-N-T, ascent, and a psalm of David. I was glad when they said to me, "Let us go to the house of the Lord." Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem, built as a city which is bound firmly together, to which the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, as was decreed for Israel, to give thanks to the name of God. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls and security within your towers. For my brothers and sisters' sake, I will say, peace be within you. Let us pray. Holy One, be with your servants now and your servant, that the words that are heard and spoken would be found well-pleasing in your sight. You who are our rock, our strength, and our place. Amen. Amen. All that shoveling made me thirsty out of this building. In one of the houses where I grew up, there was a little fir tree out front. It wasn't that little, probably about 10 feet tall, I guess. It was in the perfect shape of a Christmas tree. No thanks to us, no trimming or anything. It just grew that way, just natural. And at Christmas, my dad and my brother and I would haul out the ladder and decorate it. Always with the same 5 strings of light, worn out lights, I might add. Taking them out, untangling them, testing them to see what replacements we needed. You know, these were the days before all these little tiny lights and all the fancy gadgets they are now. These were bulbs about this big, you know, in the shape of a little teardrop and all different colors. And we would get them out and test them and then string them round and round to see whether the place was made. Put a yellow one there, Coleman. You can't have 3 green ones in a row. And on in our little tradition, smelling the sap of the fir tree, till it was time to plug in the lights and stand back and admire our work. We did that for years, the 3 of us. It was one of the things we did around the Christmas season while our mother slaved in the kitchen and did all the real work. We made believe that we did something significant by decorating the tree out front. Well, then Coleman and I grew up, so to speak, and wandered to far-off exotic places like Tallahassee, Florida, and Wilmington, Delaware. But each Christmas, Dad, bless his heart, carried on and decorated that tree with the lights, somehow doing it all by himself. And a good thing, too, for life can be hard. And when we feel lost and lonely and scared in this life, we wanted to come back home at Christmas. And we did, first by ourselves and then towing wives and then children. We needed a beacon a light to lead us back. And when we had made the long trip from wherever we were coming from, and we sailed around the corner of the street, there it was, like a lighthouse in a safe harbor, that tree. And we knew with the joy that settled into the bottom of our feet, we were home. Wonder if you have any rituals, customs around Christmas like that. Why are these so important? What is that about? And in every church, why is it that the Christmas Eve service and the Christmas services, Advent services, are some of the ones that we remember and love so much? Why do we do it? Year after year, this annual trip back to Bethlehem to smell the cows and hear the baby burp at the 5 o'clock feeding. Here's what I think it is. I think it's a matter of homesickness. Homesickness. Psalm 22 is one of the so-called Psalms of Ascent. That is a psalm of going up. And the scholars say that the best way to understand this is in terms of returning. A psalm of returning. And where does one return to? It's home, of course. For these Jews, it was Jerusalem. They were in exile. They were scattered out all over the place, and they yearned and longed for home. The key verse is the second one. Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. No, they hadn't. Their feet hadn't been standing within the gates of Jerusalem. Those Jews were scattered everywhere. They were about as far away from Jerusalem as they could get. Yet how could they see that then? Well, haven't we done that? As an adult, you, say, live in Seattle, Washington, and you're in the mall maybe, or in somebody's house, and the sound of a Christmas carol over the loudspeaker, or the smell of a chocolate chip cookie, or the unpacking of some ornaments, and suddenly you're transported back, and you're standing, your feet are standing in your mother's kitchen in Boston, smelling the Christmas cookies, and it's time to go drink the hot chocolate and open the presents. Some of you will remember the name Bing Crosby. For those of you who are younger, when I just said Bing, I was not doing my best impression of incoming email. That was actually somebody's name. His name was Bing Crosby. He was a silver-throated singer who captured the heart of America, particularly female America. Bing Crosby had many hits, and one of them was I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Perhaps you know the story of how it was written. The writer was Irving Berlin, who was a Jew. But he loved Christmas time and Hanukkah, and especially the snow. Always for him a special time with his family. They lived out east. He was already very successful as a songwriter when in 1937, during the Christmas season, he was working on a movie in California, away from his home in the east, and missing his family a lot. A movie industry friend of his knew this and went to work in his little studio and produced a short film and sent it to Berlin, where he was working in California. And the film pictured Berlin's family waving to him, you know, and the snow was all around. And it just made him homesick. And so he wrote this song. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. May all your Christmases be white. The song was introduced at the beginning of World War II and became the theme song of that war for all of the soldiers in their foxholes, even ones from Florida. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas is, according to Guinness, the best-selling record of all time, with sales of the single at more than 50 million, and when you add album and other sales, it's over 100 million. The soldier in World War II who loved that song with bullets screaming over his head, his feet may have been standing in that foxhole, but in his heart, he was home. It's who we are, isn't it? Don't we have this universal instinct to return home. We can even see it in nature, especially in nature, in the migratory creatures that God has made, the whales and the geese and the salmon, the Pacific salmon born in small crystal clear creeks in the forest, then to journey out to the vast Pacific Ocean to grow and live only later with such determination and courage and strength that will just break your heart. They return to the exact same little creek to begin again. And we wonder, what drives them to do this over and over? Yet we know, don't we? We know what it is. Aren't we right there with those salmon, swimming hard to get home, to return to the place of our origin, of our beginnings? Isn't that our instinct as well? And at Christmas, I think that's what happens. We are all homesick. All homesick for the same thing, for the same place. Oh, I know. You may be from Racine, Wisconsin, and I'm from Orlando, Florida. That's not what I'm talking about. For each one of us, no matter our geographical reference point, each one of us has the same place of origin, the same home. For we in the Christian tradition, we call this place Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. The God we came from is the God we return to. And at Advent, that's what we do. We return to the manger, where the one who was wrapped in swaddling clothes wraps us, wraps our hungering hearts in eternal love. On the journey to this manger, we try to be brave and courageous. We go out in life to learn the secrets. We seek to, by sheer determination and will, to wrest from life what blessings we can find. All our life long, we struggle with that. Aren't we precious children? How hard we try to find it. Only to discover one day, by grace, that the greatest secret of all, the only secret worth knowing, is that all along, each second and each minute, in the dark and in the light, the home we seek was with us all the time. We began with the Jewish composer Irving Berlin in World War II, and I want to end with another story about Jews during World War II. Steffi Pettersson was a Swedish child psychoanalyst in the 1940s, and when the Nazis invaded and occupied neighboring Norway, Dr. Pettersson volunteered to lead a group of Jewish refugees from Norway to Sweden to safe haven. Many of these refugees were children. It was deep winter when they made their escape. They had to flee over high mountains into Sweden on foot. So they could only take with them a minimum amount of possessions. As a matter of fact, only what they could fit in this little knapsack that each one of them was given. Because speed was of the essence and the climb was going to be difficult. If you had to escape with only a little knapsack, what would you do? Well, they made their escape and took their first desperately needed rest only after reaching safety within Sweden. The precious children were cold and suffering, but all in all, they were okay. They were all of them going to make it. They opened their bags and ate some food, and one of the little children left her bag open, just lying there, and Dr. Pettersson looked inside. There were a few things, just a few things, and she was surprised to find among them a small silver star, glittering, the kind that you would put on a Christmas tree. Quickly she put it back and then began to wonder. They were Jewish children. But many had been raised because of the war in assimilated families with menorahs and Christmas trees side by side. And she thought, out of everything this child could have brought, why a Christmas tree one? Oh well, it's probably just one. But I wonder what the other ones brought. And that night, as they slept, curiosity got the best of this scientist. psychoanalyst, what did these children grab for their perilous journey? So she silently went through all of their bags, and over again, in the bags of these Disney ornaments and Hanukkah decorations, celebrating the Festival of Lights and Christmas, made out of cardboard and covered with silver glitter. What did these children know? There is a voice that echoes through the eons, through the headwaters of a salmon creek and in the foxhole of a terrible war, through Jerusalem's gates and around a fir tree in a Florida front yard, through the Festival of Lights and a stable bear. For us as Christians, it is the cry of a baby in a manger, wrapping our homesick hearts in its message. Listen, can you hear it? Can you hear it? Come home, the baby cries. All of you who are weary,